my friends. Here's the first card we're going to make tonight. This is a trifold, fun fold, I guess. It's a trifold card that uses a lot of your DSP. And you get to see both sides, which I love. Because sometimes it's hard to pick which sides you like the best. And this allows you to be able to see both sides with your card. And there's lots of writing room if you need to have a lot to write. This is my writing space here. So here it is, and this paper we're going to use tonight is called See a Silhouette. This paper is retiring at the end of May 2020, so if you like this paper, you have to get it now. Did you know on the back of your DSP, it lists what colors are included in your packet? So if you're unsure of which blue that is, you can look on the back of your packet and it will tell you that this is Night of Navy and Pacific Point. That's a neat little tip in case you didn't know about that. But here's the See a Silhouette paper. It's a nice brick. I've used most of it. This one's really pretty. So we're going to make this trifold card using the See a Silhouette paper. And here is my kit right here. This is part of the See a Silhouette paper. It's just another one of the sheets inside. Here's the other side. It looks like paint. Splatter paint. And sort of a splatter paint with a nice geometric design. The stamp set I'm going to use tonight is called Sailing Home. It's a nice generic set, or masculine, or if you just like coastal sets, this is perfect. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to score it. And I'm using the Simply Score tool, which is this board here. I love this. If you don't have one, it's definitely a must-have. So we're going to score our paper at 1 3/4. And remember, with DSP, you don't want to score too hard because you can go right through it because it's kind of thin. The next one is 4 3/4. And I do it twice just because I'm not pressing very hard. I want to make sure I get a good score. And the last one is 7 3/4. And your paper is cut at 5 1/4. This way, 5 1/4. I'll do that. So 5 1/4 by 11 3/4. So you get 2 cards out of 1 sheet of DSP. So you use pretty much the whole thing, which I love. And if you'll notice on the inside here, this is that 1/4 inch I cut off the end. And I didn't waste one single piece. So I stuck it on the opposite side, on the inside of my card. Okay, so again, those measurements are 1 3/4, 4 3/4, and 7 3/4. Okay. Now we're going to fold our card. Make sure you give it a nice crisp burnishing with your bone folder. And it doesn't really matter which way you fold it the first time, because you can always fold it back the other way in just a second, which we're going to do. So you can see that's how it's going to look when you actually fold it. So here's your card. This is the base, and it gets folded in like this and then over top. And you could do it any way you like. If you like it this way and you want to see more of the red, you could certainly do that and just have a little bit of that showing. Whichever way you like it. That's the beauty of this DSP. It's double-sided any way you like. I think I scored that wrong. I did. Let's do that again. Yep. So it's 1 3/4, not 1 1/2. 4 3/4 and 7 3/4. Okay, so I got it all right except that first one. No big deal. Easy to fix. And the cool thing about this paper, you'll never notice that little crease there anyway. So I think I like it that way, as opposed to the, I guess it's the same kind of way, isn't it? So we have that. That's the trickiest part. Now I have some coordinating paper here, and this is the piece that I sliced off. I'll use that on the inside. And this is the another piece I sliced off. So we can use that if you feel that you have a place for that. This is crushed curry because it's the same yellow in the paper. So it's going to get matted like this. And actually I can go ahead and do that. It's your now when you've put all this together, it's your standard card front size. 5 1/4 by, no, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. Yep. So this will fit in a regular envelope just like this. Okay. Then we will stamp on the Whisper White piece, and I cut this out using the Stitched So Sweetly dies, and I'll show those to you here real quick. So it's all these real pretty dies, the Stitched So Sweetly, and I used the second one and the third one from the largest for this card. But you can use any shape. It doesn't have to be the square or rectangle, I mean. So I am going to stamp the ship in black. Because I want to color it. And give it just a second to dry on the paper before you pick it up. And you have a nice crisp image. And then I also have the birds. Make sure they're not upside down. And we'll stamp those up here just to give it a little bit of interest and depth. So to color my boat, I want it to be, this is red, is the Poppy Parade. We don't have a colored pencil, which is what I use to color my blue one. So I'm going to use a blender pen. Now, when you don't have anything, if you don't have a ink or anything, you can squeeze the pad gently. So I'm pushing down with my thumbs like this. And then when you open it, you have a palette of ink right here. And a blender pen is not wet. It's a clear marker, sort of. So you just barely touch it here, and you can see how it's kind of swirling that around. Makes it sort of a watercolor look. Don't pick up very much because you can't take away color, but you can add color. And I start where I want it the darkest. And I like it the darkest kind of at the ends here. And then you just kind of color it the way that you like it. Maybe you want a little more vibrant red. These blender pens are great because if you don't have a marker or a colored pencil or something, you can use any ink pad that you have to color just like this. And when you're finished, just get a scrap piece of paper and color on it until your marker runs clear again. See how the red's coming off? So now it's clear again, and it's ready for the next color. So it's pretty easy to clean. Close that up so I don't put my hand in it. Now for the sail, I think I'm going to use a colored pencil. You might have these. These are kind of old, but it's the watercolor pencils. And I just really, really lightly color it. I'm barely touching the paper. It's just to give it a little bit of color. You could do the same thing with a blender pen and a gray ink pad. Same thing. Okay. Then we'll attach that to our Poppy Parade layer. Just like that. And before we started, I went ahead and stamped this thanks and cut it out with that die. And all of this is part of the Sailing Home Suite collection. So I keep my dies inside my stamp case. And I have a little piece of register magnet, like that you put on the register vent of your floor or your house. And I just put it here on the inside of my case because these dies match specifically to this set. This way I'll always have them together. So here's the die that came with this Sailing Home set. It's a little flag. And I stamped the thanks and cut that out with that. And then I always keep extra little pieces that I cut out, and I just put them in a little clear cello bag and keep them in my stamp case. That way, if you're in a hurry, you don't have to worry about finding the time to die cut anything. So here on the back of our banner, we'll put a couple of dimensionals. Whoops, I had an extra one. And that gets put right here, wherever it looks good to you. Okay, then we're going to stick it here. Now here's where you need to be a little bit careful. I wanted my frame to hang over this fold. I didn't want it even. I don't like that. But if you like it even, if you're a symmetrical kind of person, you might make sure you do that. I want it to stick over more, to be a little more centered and offset from here. So you're only going to put glue right here on this red piece. Okay, so just be real careful when you put the glue down, that you don't put too far over. Just like that. And then here, we don't want our insides to be naked, right? So I'm just going to stamp the boat again, just to kind of keep it consistent with the card. And we'll stick that on the inside. Now this is smaller than our typical card insert because I don't want the white to hang over here so you can see it on the outside. So make sure you put that little piece of white closer to the edge. Now see, I left a little bit of red edge there. I didn't want to get all the way in the crease. But now when I close it, you can't see the white part. Now if you have more room that you need to write, you can certainly put another white piece over here if you want to. Okay, and let's not forget this little guy. I like to use every bit of a piece of paper as I can. So let's do a little piece. I'm not sure. I didn't measure to cut it, so we're just going to trim it with our scissors. Are you scared to cut with your scissors? Sometimes I am. I'll line it up. Okay. And we'll just snip it off down here at the bottom. Now you haven't wasted anything but that tiny little piece.